All right, welcome everybody to the Lakers Legacy Podcast, where class is officially back in obsession. But the Lakers maybe could have used a couple more preseason sessions. Or maybe not, because after what I saw last night, I saw two very vastly different looking teams out there in terms of structure and insignia, and in terms of structure and insignia that I don't think any additional preseason reps could have cured, but it wouldn't have hurt. Alas, we are out here with the Lakers losing 119-109 to the Warriors in their season home opener, which isn't too unfamiliar a feeling for Lakers fans, I'm sure. I'm your host, Jonathan Hernandez, and welcome to the 2025-26 NBA season. Tonight, I am joined by a special guest, longtime friend of the podcast, Omar Siddiqui of Rings and Things. Omar, how you doing tonight? And were you able to find the game all right on Peacock/NBC? I'm sure you just watched it on NBC, but I had to watch it on Peacock.
Yeah, for a second, I was trying to locate it because I watch my TV off YouTube TV. So I was like, oh, where is this game? And I'm like looking at the broadcast to see if there's like, usually if you watch on like TNT or ESPN, there's like a sister network or whatever where they'll say, oh, this game is happening here. And I'm like, maybe it's on NBA TV. And I still couldn't find it. And then I go on Twitter and I check. I'm like, okay, games on Peacock. So like I have to go downstairs and get to my TV that has access to Peacock. And eventually I was able to finally get into the game and watch it, which was exciting. First game of the season.
First game of the season, and just like how I started this show, stumbling all over myself, the Lakers kind of look like that as well. It was nice to hear the throwback, the round ball rock theme song on NBC. But apart from that, the Lakers, I think, look very just disjointed in general. And we'll jump right into things. But before we do, if you could please like this video, comment down below, subscribe to this channel, subscribe to Omar's channel, Rings and Things. Omar, what's the YouTube tag?
Rings and Things Show. Now that's the official tag now. So trying to keep it aligned with the overall title of the show.
Nice. And if you're watching this on my channel, then you know where to find it. Just click subscribe. All right. With that said, for today's show, we'll just do a quick first visceral vibe check of just our first impressions of what we saw from the game, not get too much into the nitty gritty of things, although we will do that in the second half of the show. And then we'll go through my typical awards of the night: MVP, sixth man of the game, most improved player of the game. Now, these awards get very hard to do when the Lakers lose. But we're going to try our best. Okay. And then we'll take it to break. After break, I have some clips that I want to throw up there of some actual good things the Lakers did do, some of the few good things that they did do on the defensive end. And then we'll talk about just like our larger game takeaways and get more into the weeds of stuff. Some of our concerns, anything tactically we do different, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, with that said, Omar, I'll pitch it to you. Your overall general vibe, temperature check on how this game went without getting too in-depth into any one thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So like to keep it high level, right? Like just overall excited that Luka Doncic is on my team, and just to see him like attack any coverage, any defender against Golden State, hit any shot from everywhere. Like if you look at his overall stat line, 17 of 27 from the field, 2 of 10 from three. So majority of his buckets coming from the mid-range or from the paint. Like he was shooting at a very high clip. Finished off with 43 points, 12 rebounds, 9 assists. So obviously, you know, it's game one, and I came into tonight's game expecting a tough situation, which pretty much how it laid out. And I know we'll get into the details of that, but really, you know, from a high level, you know, really good to see Luka perform that way. Also Reeves coming through in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter. That was really good to see. And, you know, it's not a Lakers/Golden State Warriors games if the refs don't kind of get into it and just make it into a, you know, very slow, like no flow to the game, just whistles here and there and a bunch of free throws. Like if you look at Jimmy Butler's line, like half of his production is just from the free throw line. So that kind of paints a little bit of the picture on the other end. But high level, you know, I mean, great to be here. Pretty much. That's my positioning here.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks for holding it down. I kind of got cut off for a second there,
All
and
good.
this the start of the season, man. I mean, everything to a rocky start, kind of getting into the flow of things. This is actually my first like post-game live reaction to a literal Laker game because I only started doing this live stuff during free agency. So everybody bear with me, bear with us as we kind of get our bearings on things as the Lakers are hopefully going to do as the season progresses. But yeah, to your point, yeah, thank God for Luka, right? I mean, if there's one thing that positive thing you can take away, it's Luka Doncic from tonight. He looks like Eurobasket Luka, and he was starting to kind of, run on fumes towards the end there, but he still pushed through. And by the end of the night, I mean, what did he have? Like 43 points, 12. He almost had a triple double if he didn't. I don't have the tangible
43,
stats in
12,
front of
and
me.
9.
There you go. 43, 12, and 9. Incredible night. I think the only thing that he didn't do well was like not shoot efficiently from 3-point land. But apart from that, I mean, Luka looked really good. I would say so. My high level thoughts are just the Warriors are just such a well-oiled machine on
Yeah.
both ends of the floor. It almost doesn't matter. And look, it's tough to compare both of these two teams because JJ Redick just got inserted last year, and I know the Lakers are trying to build that type of culture, and trying to build that type of culture takes some time. So we're just in year 2 of the JJ Redick era, and we're in year 1 of the Luka Doncic era, right? So the Warriors, though, are kind of like the poster child of, regardless of what types of players you have on your roster, what you want to see in an organization in terms of structure. I know like it may seem like hindsight is talking here because we lost, but like if you just looked at the eye test, they had a rookie, Will Richard, playing clutch minutes in the fourth, and he looked like he had been playing for the Warriors forever,
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's kind of, I mean, that's credit to him, obviously, for being like, and I know coming into this draft, Will Richard was regarded as a sort of like KCP sort of player. But so credit to him, but mostly credit to the Warriors structure for being able to just pick dudes off the street. Quentin Post is a great example, and just inserting them. And it looks like they've been playing with this team forever. So credit to the Warriors scheme on both ends of the floor. The Lakers were kind of just playing, it felt like for much of it, pick up basketball on fumes, playing on their talent alone. And you saw that towards the first half where it was literally like, Luka Doncic, you get the ball. Austin Reeves, you get the ball. If you guys aren't generating points, then nothing else is going to happen, right? I think Rui Hachimura didn't have a single shot attempt after the first quarter. DeAndre Jordan only had like 3 shot attempts. Like it was kind of just all based on your turn, my turn between Luka and Austin. And against a well-oiled machine like the Golden State Warriors, that's simply not going to cut it. And credit to Luka's brilliance for keeping us in the game for as long as he did. But yeah, that third quarter really crushed us. The third quarter woes came back in such a huge way. And overall, I think, okay, the biggest thing, and we can get into it later too, that stood out to me was this is going to come as no shock or surprise to anybody, but that starting lineup with Gabe Vincent, ain't it? What are we doing? I'm glad we got the Darvingham Galaxy braining out of the way. Let's not do that again. I mean, I kind of understand where he was coming from. JJ Redick was coming from in terms of like, you want to have like small mobile guards to run across screens and everything. But I mean, the Warriors just kept putting Gabe Vincent on switches where he'd be switched on to Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy Butler would just roast him. And even when he was tracking Steph Curry, it still wasn't good enough. And then on the other end of the spectrum, or on the other end of the floor offensively, I mean, what did Gabe Vincent have? Did he hit like 1-3 or did he not do anything at all?
He had 1-3, 1 for 4.
Okay, he hit 1-3, but outside of that, he had one nice pass to DeAndre Ayton in the paint. But outside of that, it's like, I don't know what it was very unimpactful from Gabe Vincent is what I'm trying to say. And if we're going to have an unimpactful player, let's at least get someone who can rebound or someone who's 6'8", 6'9", like Jake LaRavia or Jared Vanderbilt. So those are kind of my high level thoughts, just the disparity in how both teams kind of functioned, where Golden State looked like the well-oiled, season team, and the Lakers looked like, they were still in preseason, kind of, and kind of getting the hang of things. So, also the other thing too is it felt like the attention to detail on the Lakers end just wasn't there, whether it was from the free throw line or getting killed on back cuts at the end of the game. And it's kind of to Paul Anthony's point, I'm tired of this year after year. We kind of saw the same things again that have sort of haunted us in the past, whether it's the third quarter woes or Rui Hachimura getting burned on backdoor cuts. So yeah, before we dive any deeper into things, why don't we go through our awards of the night so that can kind of help lead the show? And we'll get to some and because it's called awards of the night, we're gonna kind of be forced to talk positively about certain things, but we can also talk about some of the negatives as well. So let me bring this up. All right, so we're going to go through the typical awards that the NBA gives out to players at the end of the season, but we'll do it just for this game. And I know the Lakers lost, but we are going to find a way to do it. So Omar, you kind of talked about him at the top. I'm kind of spoiling your pick here, but there is no question who your MVP is for the Lakers, but why don't you go ahead?
Yeah, it's Luka Magic. Luka is the MVP of the game. He single-handedly carried the Lakers throughout this game and kept it, I'd say, at arm's length, throughout the course of the game. There's obviously runs that the Warriors would go on and extend the lead, but then Luka would come back on his own personal, like 9-0 run or whatever it is. But just kind of seeing that, you alluded to it earlier too, but his Eurobasket performances leading and translating to NBA basketball, and him going up against Draymond Green, Jonathan Kuminga, Jimmy Butler, it didn't matter who was guarding him. Pretty much, he was getting to any spot where he needed to. And one thing I didn't talk about too, but he was also generating wide open and very clean quality looks from three. And a lot of our guys, I'm sure we'll get into it, but we struggled from the three-point land. We shot 8 for 32, 25% overall, where obviously you'll see a big disparity against Golden State Warriors, where they went 17 to 40. So that's obviously a big difference that was impacting this game. But, if you clean up and execute some of those looks, we're probably talking a different game here. But I do appreciate and kind of go into my overall point here in terms of the vibe check is, man, having Luka, someone as generational as he is, and someone that can just create offense himself, is a luxury to have, right? To your point, we were kind of running this LA Fitness offense or whatever it is, but he's still generating amazing, amazing looks after looks after looks, even though we're not really running anything other than maybe some horn sets and some pick and rolls and some double drag stuff, but nothing too kind of complicated. Very just okay, Luka, you got it, figure it out. So, I mean, I think it's unanimous probably on your end too, but Luka is the MVP from this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, the moves that he was pulling off, and Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga were switched onto him. They were kind of throwing the kitchen sink at Luka. And Luka's used to this, right? And luckily, because of Eurobasket, it does feel like it's funny because Luka only played 2 preseason games, but he looked kind of like the best conditioned out there of the guys. He even had that low man block on Al Horford where he kind of helped and rotated. I was like, oh shoot. And Luka actually played pretty decent defense, in the scheme of what the Lakers were trying to do, which is kind of, I think that how well Luka is moving on defense is a pretty good indication of just his conditioning level and whether he's in sync and engaged that night. And Luka from pretty much every level was incredible. 43 points, 17 of 27, 12 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. He had that one step back to the left, 40-footer on Jimmy Butler to end the half where it cut it down to 1 point. And then in the second half, it felt like he had a flurry of and ones where he was just flipping it up and gaining contact on guys like Kuminga and Butler. And yeah, he was just kind of showcasing his full arsenal. And I think it was a good reminder to, I don't know, maybe the Lakers front office or whatever that hey, oh yeah, this is why you traded for this guy. This is a generational talent, and we've got to, surround him with the proper honestly athletes. I think that's one of the bigger things that,
Oh,
and not
yeah.
to get in to spoil some of my stuff, but like the Lakers just don't have any explosive pop out there, especially without LeBron. And LeBron's like a 41-year-old, like Luka
Yeah.
needs that explosive pop. And it just was so lacking from the Lakers end. And meanwhile, on the Warriors, you've got Gary Payton flying around everywhere. And Gary Payton, I thought, was cooked. Apparently not, because this guy can still like dunk and block shots. And even Al Horford looks athletic. And then obviously they have Jonathan Kuminga. That guy looks pretty good. I don't know why the
Yeah.
Warriors waited so long to pay that guy. But anyways, so yeah, Luka definitely the MVP. This one's a little bit tougher. Um, who's your defensive player of the game from the Lakers end?
Yeah, this is a interesting one, but I think I have an answer that fits a narrative that I'll explain now.
Mhm.
I think I'm gonna go with Marcus Smart just off of the ilk of him creating chaos and havoc throughout
Sure.
his minutes. And it's kind of evident if you just even like if you didn't even watch the game, if you look at the box score, I think he was the only one with the positive plus or minus. And he was, and he had the +2 in his 22 minutes. It just seemed like, anytime there's a loose ball, he was diving on the floor, and a lot of his actions led to like infectious energy. Even though like there was kind of some like fouls calls, and there was one where it was like elevated to a flagrant one, which was kind of ridiculous. But like I just felt like that created like more energy and kind of pushed the team in a manner where they kind of made that push in that second quarter because of him. Obviously, there was a lot of execution that was happening from Luca's side and Austin Reeves' side, but like I think it just rejuvenated and energized the team. And I'd say that's where I would kind of land with in terms of defensive player of the game. It was more so of like a agent of chaos, more so than like kind of just stonewalling a player on the other side. Like if you watch the game, like all the Warriors kind of had it going. I think they had 4 players that scored over 17 points. So clearly there wasn't anyone from the Lakers side that was like stopping anyone. But in terms of my defensive player of this game, I would lean towards Marcus Smart.
Yeah, that's definitely a good pick, albeit like we kind of saw both sides of Marcus Smart. It
Sure.
was
Yeah.
almost like our version of Draymond Green, right? Where it's like, all right, this is kind of getting out of hand. The histrionics, like the flopping on Marcus Smart's end. I appreciate how hard he goes, but you can definitely tell why Marcus Smart gets so banged up night in, night out, because this dude is literally having his body hit the floor
Yeah.
like at least 5 times a half. And I'm like, oh, bro, can you? I love the energy. I love the culture setting, everything. I love it. But we kind of need you. Can we rein it in a little bit? But to your point, he's the only one who seemed to like really care and really take each possession as such a crucial thing in a vacuum. And so I appreciated that out of Marcus Smart. So I think for me, I'll go with a cop out answer. And for my defensive player of the game, I'm going to give it to 3 players actually, because when they were inserted into the lineup, I really felt that injection of life from the Lakers, the hustle, the motor, kind of like they were moving more in sync together. And those 3 players are Marcus Smart, Jared Vanderbilt, and Jake LaRavia. The combination of size, mobility, and just the want and will to try and hustle out there was pretty apparent. And even when Luka was there, because Luka was like, hitting the right spots, everything just seemed to click a little bit more when those 3 guys were on the floor, rotating, converging, and hustling, honestly. So I will give my defensive player of the game to Smart, Vando, and Jake LaRavia. And those are 3 guys who I hope we get to see more of as a trio. Obviously, you need to flank them with like offensively competent players like a Luka Doncic. But yeah, I was impressed by some of the sequences that group showed. Um, all right, to that end, and maybe your answer for this one will be the same as your defensive player of the game. But who would you give your the 6th man of the game award to?
I'm actually, I think I may be switching it up on you, but I really liked the minutes from Jake LaRavia.
Mm,
I saw a ton of what I think you covered in your off-season videos and my own player breakdown videos, but like, in his limited time, I think he was only on the floor, 16 minutes. I saw a bunch of like, okay, grab and go type of basketball of like getting the rebound and just kind of pushing the pace. He hit some. I think he hit a knockdown three on the wing as well as just getting his using his size and putting his body in front of like whether it's a Jimmy Butler or different types of players. I thought he brought a lot of pop, which you just alluded to in your previous segment in terms of the three players that you really liked. I think, and we'll probably get into this later too, but I think he needs to play more minutes, to be honest with you. And the more minutes we see out of him, I think the more impact we'll see from him, because I really see him as like a Swiss Army knife type of player. Like I think he fits probably any lineup combination, and with that, like he has enough tools and he does enough things well enough where he's able to flex different things at different moments, and you just kind of see the impact. So I'm gonna put Jake LaRivia as my sixth man, even though he only played 60 minutes and he didn't really show too much. But if you go back and just watch Jake LaRivia in his time, and you're just tracking him, I think you'll see a lot of kind of the flashes of potential that excited us when we signed him in the offseason.
Yeah, I like that answer because I have the same answer for six man as well. It's Jake LaRavia. What did he have? He only had 5 points tonight, 2 of 4, 1 of 2 from 3 rebounds. But yeah, when he was out there, especially with that unit that I mentioned, everything just seemed like a lot more connected defensively, offensively. I mean, that's why we call him a connective player, right?
Yeah.
And Jake LaRavia is going to, I mean, look, he's slow. He's kind of awkward moving, especially when he has the ball and tries to, shake and bake a little bit. He's going to get burned by savvier ball handlers, by quicker ball handlers. I mean, there was that one play where Buddy Hield kind of did the step back three on him and you saw Jake LaRavia slipping. But outside of those very sort of glaring lowlights, the rest of the time, Jake LaRavia is doing the right things on the court. He's route running and tracking the right players. He's fighting through screens. He's hustling for that loose ball, tapping balls loose. He's relocating to the right spots on the perimeter. I mean, they're not flashy things, and he's not going to jump off the page necessarily. But in terms of sometimes with Rui, right, it's like he gives you great ceiling, but sometimes the floor bottoms out. With Jake, it's kind of like, here's his floor, and you can always rely on this floor, at least for him to do the right things, And if he makes a mistake, it's not because he's like not there mentally, right? It's just because he doesn't have the speed, or he's not as athletic as that person, But otherwise, I trust Jake to sort of make the right reads more often than not. And so I give Jake the sixth man of the game award. And I hope that we see more of him, to the tune of, honestly, the way that I low-key thought he did a pretty good job on Jimmy Butler, the times that he was matched up man-to-man with Jimmy Butler, just because of his size and his strength. I mean, Jake LaRavia is like 6'7", 6'8", and seeing those moments of him like holding his own against Butler, I'm like, maybe we should have just started this dude instead of Marcus Smart,
Yeah.
So what about this one? I don't, this one's a weird. Who's your most improved? I don't know how you interpreted this award, especially because this is the first game, but maybe you're taking into account preseason. But who is your most improved player of the game?
Yeah, this is a tough one because I actually, the more I thought about it, I was like, maybe I just bake in some of the preseason and slash into last season. So I'm gonna put in through two players for this one. I really liked Austin Reeves' game. I didn't love this, solo ball handler type units, even though there was one unit that he led on his own that did make a push. But just I loved to see his aggressiveness. You clearly see like a different version of Austin, and obviously, it was reported at the time, but Austin was clearly dealing with a foot or toe injury in the Minnesota series. But like, he looks really aggressive, looks really good, like it looks really comfortable out there. The other player, which probably may surprise your listeners or people on Twitter, but Jackson Hayes looked really good out there. Like another player, and you talked about it in the defensive segment, but someone who, showed a lot of chemistry with Luka last year. A lot of athletic pop, looked like he was just like kind of right in the right places. One thing I liked from him, and I didn't see from a lot of other players, is that he actually tried to make physical like screens on Warriors players, whereas like, I'll talk about the other players later, but it just seemed like there was a lot of care factor from him, and that's something that JJ Redick like loves talking about. Is that like our players need to show care factor, and I think Jackson Hayes is slotted right in his role. Obviously last year he had to start, but like I think knowing that he has these limited minutes, he's kind of going like 150%, which I really appreciated watching him do, and just cleaning up a lot of mistakes he used to make last year and cleaning that up. So I'll throw those two guys in there for the most improved, but it was definitely tough because of the small sample size and the way the game went.
No, I like those two answers. I like the direction you went with Austin because it's almost like he's most improved in the flow of this one game, right? Because it started off, I mean, he was scoring, but he was turning the ball over like
Yeah,
heck, but then he really improved in the fourth quarter. So it's almost most improved within this game.
within the
And
quarters.
then,
Yeah,
yeah, within the quarters. And then for me, yeah, I would agree. My most improved is Jackson Hayes. I mean, to grab 6 rebounds in only 14 minutes, I mean, that's the biggest knock on Jackson, right? That he doesn't rebound the ball. But tonight he did a great job in his limited minutes. And I almost feel like he was a little bit more impactful than even DeAndre. Like the Lakers kind of just needed that shot in the arm.
yeah.
And Jackson gave us that. And maybe he should have played a little bit more. And he had a really solid preseason as well.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe he should have played a little bit more because the Lakers, I feel like, were really missing sort of that safety release valve at the rim. He finally
Yeah,
got that connection with, I think it might have been, I think it was Luca for
it
the
was
alley oop
Luka.
or the
Yeah,
lob.
yeah.
But yeah, the Lakers needed more of that. Like the lack of easy buckets from our end was very apparent to me. Meanwhile, the Warriors are getting like backdoor cuts on us and all
Yeah,
that
like
stuff
Gary
for like
Payton's
layups.
getting a dunk. Like
Yeah.
that's the
But
type
for
of
but for the
basketball.
Lakers, it's like Luca has to do all these juke moves and like these off awkward angled shots and ones, and Austin has to put his body on the line. It just
Yeah.
felt like on our end we were just striving so hard to get 2 points, whereas for the Warriors, it's like here's another one, here's another one. So the lack of, I think, easy buckets from the Lakers end, yeah, was very apparent, and maybe they could have used Jackson Hayes in that respect. But kudos to Jackson for sort of bringing that energy, and to your point, trying to actually play physical. And I think the 6 rebounds is a testament to that in only 14 minutes. All right, to close this section out, who is your what the F player of the game? Take that however way you want it. Maybe I guess it's just kind of like who disappointed you that you thought was actually gonna, potentially be good for us.
Yeah, I think I'm probably will put two guys in this bucket. So I'll start with Aiden. I think there's like we talked about this in the opening segment, but we didn't take preseason seriously, and he's still getting the reps with Luca and Austin. But I think there were a bunch of moments where he was a little too soft with the ball. Like I think he either upon the catch, like just needed to make a quicker decision on where he's at in terms of reading the defense, like whether he's going up strong and scoring, because I don't think there were many minutes that the Warriors went out there with a true center. Like I think majority of the minutes were Draymond Green and then I guess Al Horford, but Horford played 20 minutes. But I think Aiton at this, I mean, given his age and his athleticism, he should be able to attack Horford on the bounce or just using his athleticism. So I'd like to see Aiton be a little bit more physical. I know he kind of gets the knock of being soft, but he should not be playing 33 minutes and finishing with 7 shots. Like that's just too little. And I think this will definitely be touched upon in the later segment, but you look at the box score. I mean, the Lakers scored 109 points, 43 and 26 were just from Luca and Austin Reeves, and Aiden was the only other player that was in double digits with 10. But with LeBron out, like we're definitely going to need another boost from production. And I think a lot of us Lakers fans have kind of slotted him or Rui, who is going to be the other guy that I want to talk about. But Rui can't just take 6 shots. Like, he is someone that when LeBron has missed time, he's always been most likely the guy that has stepped up offensively. Now, whether or not, like, I think, like, I will give some grace again, like, not just from Ain's perspective, but Rui too. Like, it just seemed like there was a lot of basketball that was being played where it was just like my turn, your turn type of thing with Luca and Reeves, and there wasn't a lot of like intentional flow of basketball being played. So maybe it felt like for Rui and other guys, like I'm trying to play at these guys' cadence, and I'm trying to see what makes sense and what works, and that's kind of how it played out. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but that's how I would, I guess, classify, a WTF player of the games. Like I think, needed those two guys to step up to ultimately win this game.
Yeah, I agree. So I cycled through like three different players for this award, but ultimately I landed on DeAndre, where he had an efficient night, 5 of 7 from the field. But I'm kind of looking at DeAndre more from like a impact standpoint and whether he affected the game sort of like on an energy level. He had a couple of good defensive plays where he got switched onto Steph Curry and actually did a good job standing his
Yeah.
ground and stuff like that. But I don't know. I'm hoping that him and Luca get their timing down in the pick and roll sooner rather than
Yeah.
later. But we just really need, I felt like we needed that like injection and punch in the arm from DeAndre where he just like slammed down like a hammer jam or something
Yeah,
to
I
like
just
wake
needed
us
one of
up.
those. Yeah.
Where like I like how he has soft touch and everything, but the Lakers kind of just needed that dunk to wake everybody up a little bit. And I was
Mhm.
hoping DeAndre would collect it in the paint and just rise up and like hammer it down on multiple people. But like a couple of times he was fumbling for the ball, like guys were
Yeah.
crowding him and he couldn't get a clean like dunk in there. So yeah, I just wanted more of that overall energy and pop off the page impact from DeAndre that we kind of just didn't get. We kind of got like finesse, white swan, Pau Gasol version of DeAndre, where it's just like, I mean, I guess you kind of did 5 of 7. How can you really argue with that? Kind of, but like, if you're only going to take 7 shots, then you need to like go balls to the wall defensively and really be swatting things every which way, and we didn't necessarily get that. And so it felt like a very like subdued version of DeAndre. And then to your point about Rui as well, it's like he had a couple of nice 3-pointers to get us back in the game, like at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
But man, Rui was getting killed on these backdoor layups, and everybody was probably getting PTSD from, Denver
Mhm.
series past against Michael Porter Jr. And like Rui just can't fall asleep like that, And there was a point in the summer or last year when I was like, Jonathan Kuminga or Rui Hachimura, I'd probably still take Rui Hachimura because at least he knows his role. But from what I saw last night, I was like, or from what I saw tonight, I'm kind of like, oh, actually, yeah, give me Jonathan Kuminga if we can get that guy because he is a physical, athletic force. He was knocking down his
Yeah.
threes. It seemed like he
Yeah.
was doing things in the flow of the offense, and Rui just can't space out the way that he did off ball tonight. And he needs to show a little bit more aggression. We know he can bring it, right? But it's like with Rui, it's a consistency issue, night in, night out sort of thing, how engaged and locked in he is. And to your point, I feel like Luca and Austin, maybe it's Luca, Austin, and maybe the schemes Redick was drawing up. They should have done a better job. And also credit the Warriors because defensively they were flying around everywhere. They were kind of forcing the Lakers. I don't know if they were forcing necessarily, but they did a good job defensively, and the Lakers kind of played into their hands. And there just wasn't a lot of like ball, flowy, rhythmic ball movement that kind of got everybody involved, as evidenced by the low shot attempt numbers from Rui and Ayton even after the first or second quarter. But yeah, I would have to give it to Ayton. Now I want to say that at the start, before that fourth quarter, I was going to give this to Austin actually, because the turnovers that he
Mhm.
had and I know like the counting stats look good, but what I saw from Austin, and I'm kind of comparing this to what we saw from Austin in the preseason, Austin looked phenomenal the first 3 games of preseason that he played. And you're going to look at his stats and say, yeah, 26 points, almost like 7 assists, 9 assists. Like, what are you complaining about? But for anyone who actually watched the flow of that game, I mean, Austin kind of piled it up at the end there, but he had the worst plus minus of the night.
He did, yeah.
Yeah,
Minus
minus
14.
14. And I think like the way he was fumbling the ball, his passes were not crisp. Without LeBron James, I'm kind of back to worrying about Austin as the solo ball handler if Luka's not next to him. It's just, I like his quickness, I like his freneticness, but against a well-seasoned, very disciplined defensive team like the Warriors, and one with length and physicality, they're going to use Austin's freneticness against him. And that's kind of what we got, like a sloppy version of Austin who, credit to him, he was trying hard. He was fighting his way through foul calls and, getting buckets at the rim by the fourth quarter. But for the first 3 quarters, it was kind of just like turnover after turnover, him just kind of looking for his own shot, not really getting his team involved. And without LeBron James, we kind of need the more well-rounded, disciplined version of Austin that we kind of saw in the first 3 preseason games, where it kind of looked like he was a veteran who kind of had a good grasp and control of the game and things were moving in slow motion for him. Tonight, it kind of looked like the Austin that I remembered when, he'd face off against like a Minnesota, where everybody's long and physical and they'd force him into these tough positions and he wouldn't know how to handle it. So that's just my thought process going into this WTF player of the game. Ultimately, I will give it to DeAndre because I'm expecting more and because I thought that he had a pretty good preseason from an activity and motor standpoint. And tonight, it just felt like he was out there. He was like a serviceable center, but like we need him to be kind of like, especially without LeBron, like we need him to be fighting Austin for that number 2 spot, but so far we haven't seen it. All right. With that said, why don't we take it to break first? And when we return, we'll wrap things up. We'll look at some tape. I pulled up some clips of some 3 defensive sequences that I really like from this game, believe it or not. And then we'll kind of round things out and just talk about some of our larger concerns about this game, whether we should overreact or not, whether some of these concerns are warranted moving forward, and what we'd like to see happen differently for Redick and the Lakers. But first, I want to talk to you guys today about the Lakers, or not the Lakers sponsor, my sponsor for today. Let's talk about Underdog Fantasy, because fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back, and Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. This week on Underdog, I'm looking at the games tomorrow, Wednesday, which is, I think we're getting a full slate of NBA games. And I'm specifically looking at the Mavs-Spurs game on Wednesday. And I will be selecting Rookie of the Year, Cooper Flagg, to go higher than 3.5 assists in his debut game, because I think the Mavs are looking to potentially start him at point guard and go super big. And so I think he'll probably get a lot of turnovers, but I think he can clear that 3.5 assist mark. So I would go higher on that. And then for one more pick, and also against Wemby, I'm going to guess that Cooper is going to try and draw in the D and then dish things out. And then for another pick, I'm also looking at the Cavs-Knicks game, and I'm going to go with Donovan Mitchell higher than 5.5 assists. Reason being, I believe Darius Garland's going to be out, and Mitchell is essentially their only real point guard. So expect the Cavaliers to lean on him heavily to get everyone involved. So those are my 2 picks for tomorrow's games. Cooper Flagg higher than 3.5 assists, and Donovan Mitchell higher than 5.5 assists. So yeah, those are my picks for the first week in the NBA. Give them a try. Use the free promo dollars that Underdog will give you when you sign up, and let me know how you guys do. So download the app today and use promo code LEGACY to score $100 in bonus funds or bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code LEGACY. Underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play-and-get-terms_DFS_.html for details. The link will be in the description box. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. All right. With that said, let's take it to break. A couple more sponsors, and then we will catch you guys after that. All right. So we are back. Omar, are you ready to look at some film real quick?
Yeah, I'm excited.
Okay.
Thank you for getting this ready. That's hot off the presses right after the game.
We are going to, look at some positive things. Inject your life with some positivity for a hot second. All right. So this first play happens at the end of the first quarter. Lakers are down 22-16. But yeah, just watch how in sync the Lakers are defensively. And as I mentioned, the three culprits, Jake LaRavia, Marcus Smart, and Jared Vanderbilt are out there. And also one of our
Hey,
most improved players, Jackson Hayes, is out there as well. Or was he my most improved player? He's one of ours. But yeah, let's just watch this play. So there's Vando. Luka's going to come up. He's going to switch on to Butler. He's going to funnel Butler into Vando. But look at the way that everybody rotates. Jake LaRavia kind of funnels him, contests the shot right into Jackson Hayes. So I'll just play that one more time. I just kind of like the coordinated way the Lakers are sort of moving here.
Yeah, they're all super connected, and it looks like they're all on a string.
On a string, yeah.
Communicating. Yeah.
Guys are converging into one another. Jake LaRavia, he knows Jackson Hayes is going to be there and does a really good job contesting the shot.
Yeah, I like how Hayes starts to shade a little bit to deter that player. I forget who it was with the ball.
I think it's Pods.
Pods. Yeah, from taking that floater and then takes a really tough fadeaway.
Yeah, so the guys just like really in sync on that play. For this second play, let's watch it. Okay, this second play happens, let me just make sure, a little bit later on, a couple possessions down. And this one, I just want you guys to watch the way. I think this is going to be a Jake LaRavia specific play on Butler, but let's watch. Marcus Smart on Pods. Vando cutting with Gui Santos. And then you've got Butler isolated on Jake LaRavia. Jake LaRavia sticks with him, contests the shot. Vando fights for the rebound. Jackson Hayes gets it eventually. So I like that play just because it kind of shows you again just Jake LaRavia's sort of versatility. Yeah, but also again, Vando cutting, making sure that Gui Santos doesn't get the.
And I like that Jake really does a good job pushing Butler all the way to the 3-point line. So now he has to start his attack all the way from there versus like, what we were all discussing later is that when he's on Gabe Vincent, he's like really deep in the post and has a much favorable position to score.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at this.
And so LaRavia does better against like these bigger players where foot speed is not necessarily their thing, but he can sort of use his body, leverage his body against the other player and just use his size to deter the shot. Because, with LaRavia, he's at least going to try and always contest till the very end. So I like that play. And then lastly, I talked about this play. You'll see this is going to be the Luka low man help play. But this one, you're going to see DeAndre actually play some pretty good defense on Curry out on the perimeter. And this is what I was talking about. Yeah. And Rui actually helps and shades a little bit as well. Actually, that's Smart. You see Smart kind of
on the floor again.
But like he was ready to take the charge there, which is what you have to appreciate about Smart. So let's watch that play again. But yeah, perfect rotation by Luka here. I mean, DeAndre pretty much does the bulk of the work here, just running down the shot clock, keeping Steph at bay. And then Smart is there to draw the charge. And then Luka obviously slides in for the perfect low man block on old man grandpa Al Horford. But it's a block nonetheless. And it would have been an easy bucket if Luka hadn't actually made that rotation. Boom. There you go. DeAndre gets the rebound. So those are three pretty good defensive plays by the Lakers that I hope we see more consistently from the team, where let's just watch it again for good measure from start to finish, where, you just see kind of more engagement and attentiveness together. And everybody's crisply rotating. Everybody's got their hands out. They're funneling in the right spots. And this is sort of what you get when you have these hustle guys like Jackson Hayes, Jared Vanderbilt, Marcus Smart, Jake LaRavia, guys who aren't afraid to muck it up and get physical. So I know this probably sucks for those who are listening to this just via audio, but make sure to catch it on YouTube to figure out what we're talking about here. But yeah.
It's definitely different flashes of defense, right? So you got a big here and Ayton's really showing his mobility here to be on Curry. And then I think this is where Luka is going to really shine in terms of his defensive role as being that helper. So, knowing what he knows in terms of his IQ and just playing basketball, I think if he can continue to read offenses like that and just use his length and his new and improved body and cardio and be able to swat centers at the rim, I mean, hey, that's an improvement.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously we saw some flashes of what this team can be. The question is, does JJ Redick have the right lineup combinations to put out there on a consistent level so that we can string together like a full at least 40 minutes of this type of defense? Or will there always be sort of like weak links in the chain where if we have too many defensive players, do we just totally suffer offensively? And so with that said, why don't we spend the last 5 or 10 minutes or so just airing out any things that you want to bring up, whether positive or negative. I'm going to guess it's mostly negative and some concerns, just because, to our point at the beginning when we were doing the vibe check, it feels like this team is far away just because of how structured and in sync the Warriors look. I will say I think the easiest fix right now for the Lakers, because it's not like they're lacking in talent, the easiest fix is just subbing Gabe Vincent out first. Like let's not do that again. Put Jake LaRavia in there. I know Vando was terrible offensively. It looked like an eyesore where he was trying to like hammer it down at one point. He was trying to do some stuff where he's like, look at me, I can finish now. And it just went horribly wrong. But unfortunately, the way that this team is structured currently, like we still need Vando for his defense and his hustle and his point of attack ability. And he could have done a better job than Gabe Vincent trailing Steph Curry on those screens, And if they had switched Jimmy Butler onto him, that wouldn't have been a problem for him. So I'm not sure why we galaxy brained ourselves into this Gabe Vincent thing, So please just put Vando in there, put LaRavia in there if you want a good balance of like he can hold up in a defensive scheme and offensively he can at least space the floor and keep the defense honest, So that's the easiest fix I see right now. And then the other thing is like, I don't know. I was actually, at least in the first half, like before we started letting all these backdoor cuts happen in the third quarter, I was actually more concerned with the offense just because it just looks so stuck in the mud. And defensively, I thought we held up. I mean, we only held them to like 54 points and we were within 1 point in the first half. And that's how we really got back in the game was defense. But like offensively, it was literally just reliant on the brilliance of Luka Doncic and some help from Austin Reeves as well. But outside of that, we were not getting. It's almost like we were playing like what we did in the playoffs, where it was just like, come up and set me a ball screen so that I can attack this dude one-on-one. And I'm like, okay, but like, where are the plays? Where's the backdoor cuts on our end for guys like Rui? Did you see Rui get a backdoor cut today?
No,
I didn't.
No.
So what's happened? What happened? So what about you? What are some things that you want to kind of hone in on, or things that you're concerned about?
Yeah, I agree with you on the switching up the starting lineup. I think JJ and the staff totally galaxy brain that decision. I think we were all debating whether it's going to be Smart or Vando, and then Gabe was never even in consideration. So him getting it was interesting. I mean, if that was just a Golden State thing, fine. But I also don't like if you're going to assign types of roles, and Gabe's role is to be the point of attack defender, I don't think it's smart to just give up on switches and then have him now on Jimmy Butler. Like he should be fighting over those screens and staying attached and staying home on Steph or Gary Payton, whoever's on the perimeter. But if you can't do that, which it can be tough because Golden State is notorious for moving screens and whatnot. So like you're just going to just be in the abyss of it. And now you're on Jimmy Butler or Al Horford or whatnot. So like to circumvent that, or even just make an adjustment in the game, like you maybe bench him and start Jake LaRavia or Vando or Smart. I think it may be a little bit too early to throw in Smart right now because of the way he plays, and I do want to see him play like as many games as possible. So I think Jake is like the answer, to be honest. Like he just gives enough pop in all areas. I think the one layer I'll just add to everything you've just mentioned, and I'm just kind of echoing what you're saying, is I think these guys just need to play more. Like we just need to see more reps. Like the more reps they get, I think that will have a huge impact. I mean, I think Luka and Ayton have not had like a clean like pick and roll like lob yet, which is kind of weird. It's like Ayton's like the prototypical like perfect type of big next to Luka, but Ayton needs to do a better job screening. Like he needs to set physical screens, and then B, it's just a timing aspect. It's either Luka's passes are too high, or they're just not like the right timing, and Ayton's not catching it strongly or kind of fumbling the ball. So once we see that improvement, I think it makes things a little bit more smoother on the offensive end. So, which is why I think we saw things kind of on the up and up when Hayes was in the game, right? Hayes and these other guys that you just showed in those clips. That I know we were looking at defensive tape, but offensively, I think they looked a little bit better there. So those are my, I guess, few items. I think. I one thing that I jotted down is transition defense. Whether it was off of a live rebound or if it's like off a turnover, like the Lakers could not match with the Warriors. And I've made a ton of jokes and I've tweeted a ton about how the Warriors are like a retirement home team, but they do still have some athletes on the team, and they were sprinting and getting to the right spots and where they should be, and like bleeding out to the corners and like really spacing out the Lakers, and they're just like in a havoc to try to defend the Warriors and matching up well enough to a point where like they're not in a mismatch or cross matched, but they were a lot of those times. And now you got like, Kuminga or Butler like bulldozing themselves to the rim. And I think the only way that you can kind of fix that is like you need a little bit more influx of like athletes into the mix of the team. And I think Jake can help a little bit. I know he's not an athlete, but again, like to your point, size, mobility, length and whatnot. But like, Adu Thero, can he come back pretty soon? Like, he will be helpful. You just posted a video about him and his breakdown. I think there's a lot of potential there that can help. We're still waiting on LeBron, and again, he's 41 years old. But I think that's another underlying topic that we'll have. I mean, let's give it some games. I think we have to kind of give it some games. Like, they did not take preseason seriously. So like this is kind of going to be their like time where they're just working through things. But I think those are like my three topics or like takeaways that like the Lakers, that something we should kind of take a look at in the next few games and revisit.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you, especially on the athleticism and explosiveness standpoint, because that is the one missing ingredient from this team, to be honest with you, and where the Warriors lack in. Because I also thought like, oh man, the Warriors, they don't have that many athletes. They have an aging Al Horford, like Steph Curry. All their guys are old, but like their system just allows them to look so much faster because these guys are like running all around the court, and all of a sudden you let up for 1 second and it's an open layup for the dude that cuts right to the rim. And for our guys, they just have to be so locked in and engaged for literally 28 seconds of the shot clock, not 24, because like balls are going to be like flying around and they have to make sure to grab that rebound, and like, yeah, I like the Lakers, especially again, when that size unit comes out with the combo of size and mobility with Vando, Laravia, and Smart. I like that we have physicality. I mean, Luka looks great. And when Luka is locked in defensively, it's a lot easier for things to work for you. But yeah, as I've been hammering home all summer, like we just need that additional actual explosive TNT dynamite athlete that will just overwhelm people and can teleport all over the court for us, and that's the biggest missing ingredient, I feel like, outside of the obvious, like, oh, we need a lockdown, like point of attack defender or whatever. Like, yeah, of course, sure. But that's why I'm kind of like, yeah, man, KJ Martin's still floating out there as an unrestricted free agent who can run up and down the court like a blur and also catch lobs and all this stuff. And it's funny, like there was even a point where in the first quarter when we had like 12 points with like 3 minutes left. Like, I kid you not, I was kind of like, could this starting lineup, okay, maybe a different configuration of this starting lineup, but I was like, could we actually use Dalton right now just to space the floor for this group, like, and he's also athletic, because if you put Dalton next to Luke and Austin, like he's sort of like the perfect release valve. And if you're gonna have Gabe Vincent out there anyways, I was like, I don't know. I feel like it's not the ideal lineup, especially with Rui there, but like if you can put Dalton and Vando out there with Luka and Austin, I don't know, maybe that would work just because the team seemed like it needed some sort of infusion of offensive life and spacing that it did not have because it was just the Austin and Luka show. And I feel like we needed that extra release valve, whether it was from the vertical threat perspective with like Jackson Hayes or from a perimeter perspective because there was no one else relieving those guys, you know, and
Yeah,
the only other
that's
guy I can think of is, well, Jake LaRavia and Dalton connect, you know? Uh, yeah,
that's a
that.
good point, Jonathan, because there was a lot of times where our guys that were out there were not attacking closeouts. They were either bricking threes or hesitating or just passing up the rock. But like if we had some of those athletes where they can just take one jab step, one dribble, and then like now they're at the rim and like it's like, okay, Golden State has to make a decision on what to do. But we weren't even doing that. So now it's like, okay, we're making Golden State's job so easy, like on the defensive end. Like they don't really have to do much other than kind of play this, like, they're playing up obviously on Reeves and Luca and doing that, but like kind of shelling up the other guys where like they're so they're shaded towards like the strong side wherever the ball is. So it's not much you can do unless the Lakers hit their threes, right? But they weren't tonight, so.
Yeah. And also the Lakers, I think outside of Austin and Luka, and even Austin has his problems with pressure when it comes to ball handling, but the Lakers just don't have that dynamic ball handler who can break a defense down and who looks comfortable whenever like the pressure's coming, like doubles are coming, you know, like which is what the Warriors were doing. And which is why, and unfortunately, for better or for worse, I've been saying it. I feel like Nick Smith Jr. is like the third best ball handler on this team, sans LeBron, you know, because he seems like he has this fluid pace game motion to his dribbles where he can get to his spots. Whereas some of our other guys, you swing the ball to him. And to your point, if they try to attack a closeout, they bobble the ball, they fumble it around, you know, it's a turnover. That's one of the biggest weaknesses of the Lakers tonight, just how often they turn the ball over, especially early on. But you look at the team stats, and the Lakers shot better than the Warriors, 54%. They had more field goals. The free throw line, they really struggled, and that's where I go back to the lack of attention to detail. But yeah, I think we'll end it there. You guys know the concerns. We obviously hope for more from the Lakers. JJ Redick has prided himself and this team on conditioning, and tonight they didn't look as conditioned as the Warriors. So hopefully, the theme of this year, it seems like, has been, talk is weak or something. If you saw the Lakers like media hype reel or whatever, and so hopefully we can get away from the talk and the Lakers can actually show us through their actions that they're serious. It seems like we have the guys who are willing to like do the dirty work. Now we kind of just need to refine things moving forward. And boy, have we got a tough test because we face the Minnesota Timberwolves and Anthony Edwards on Friday. So here we go. Buckle up, everybody. But hey, we should ride Luka's coattails because that dude seems like he's ready. And if there's one positive takeaway to take away from this game, it's that Luka Doncic is willing to put the team on his back, who is willing to follow him. So with that said, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for listening. Please follow me on X at Lakers Legacy Pod. Please follow me on YouTube at Lakers Legacy Pod as well. Like this video, comment down below, and most importantly, hit subscribe. And also follow OSID on YouTube at Rings and Things Show. You can see it on the video screen as well if you're watching. But yeah, OSID, thank you so much for hopping on. I know it's super late for you, so let's wrap this up. But yeah, it's still go Lakers, even though it's 0-1.
All good, man. Yeah, I really appreciate you letting me hop on and just talk through this, 0-1 start. But again, I want to remind all Lakers fans, we have Luka Doncic on our team, and Mark Walter was in attendance, so he saw everything that's happening. So don't worry. Rest assured, improvements are coming.
Absolutely. All right, Osid, I will catch you next time, and hopefully the next time we do this, it will be after a win, so the nightly awards make more sense, and we don't have to force it too much. So
yeah. All right, cool. Thanks.
Cool.
Peace,
all right,
everyone.
thanks, guys. See ya.